السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله على إحسانه وشكر له على تفضله وامتنانه، ولا إله إلا الله تعظيما لشأنه، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله داعي إلى رضوانه وعلى آله وأصحابه وإخوانه. أما بعد. إخواني في الله, we are continuing with our lecture series regarding the signs of the Day of Judgment. In the previous lesson, we mentioned the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam where he says, لا تقوم الساعة حتى تقتتل فئتان عظيمتان يكون بينهما مقتلة عظيمة دعواهما واحدة رواه Bukhari wa Muslim. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he says that the hour will not be established, the day of judgment will not come until two groups from the Muslims will fight each other and they will kill many of each other. And he says, دعواهما واحدة, yet their call, yet their religion is one religion. This hadith has been narrated by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim. We mentioned what happened in the unfortunate episode of the Battle of Siffin between Ali ibn Abi Talib and his group and Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan radiallahu anhum and his group. Ikhwani fillah, after the Battle of Siffin, a short while later, Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu was also assassinated. We shall look at this when we're talking about the Khawarij, the extremist sect that Prophet ﷺ warned us against. So Ali ibn Abi Talib was assassinated. The next Khalifa of the Muslims, the next leader of the Muslims was Muawiyah. After Muawiyah was about to die, he chose his son to become the Khalifa of the Muslims. This was the very first time in our history where a leader gives his son the leadership after him. So it was a very unfortunate thing that Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan did, and it brought a lot of fitna. In the year 63 of the Hijri calendar happened the battle of Harrah al-Sharqiyah. In the year 63 of the Hijri calendar was the battle of Harrah al-Sharqiyah. So Yazid ibn Muawiyah was the Khalifa of the Muslims. He was based in Syria, in Damascus. All the Muslims have accepted allegiance. They have given the bay'ah that you are the Khalifa of the Muslims. However, the people of Medina were not content. A man from Medina is called Abdullah ibn Handali al-Ghasil. He lives in the city of Medina with 8 of his sons, 8 of his children. And he goes to Damascus to meet the Khalifa Yazid ibn Muawiyah. So he goes and Yazid welcomes him and is very generous to him. He gives him 100,000 silver coins. And he gives each of his sons 10,000 silver coins. So this man goes back to Medina with his family. And he says a very strange thing. He says, Wallahi, if it was only me and my 8 children, I will fight Yazid ibn Muawiyah until one of us perishes in this world. He says, if it was only me and my children, I'll fight Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Even if we perish, there's no harm. The people of Medina are shocked. They say, you've come back from Yazid and he has been generous to you, yet you speak in this manner. And he starts calling the people to revolt against Yazid ibn Muawiyah. And he starts the revolution of the people of Medina in the year 63 of the Hijri calendar. A very unfortunate event. So the Muslims, they come to the mosque. Some of them remove the amama and they throw it down. They say, نخلع عمامتنا كما نخلع بيعة من Yazid. We are removing our amama the same way we're removing our pledge of allegiance to Yazid. Yazid ibn Muawiyah is no longer our leader. Others, they come, they throw their shoes near the mosque. They say we are removing our shoes the same way we are removing our pledge of allegiance to Yazid ibn Muawiyah. A very unfortunate event. Ali ibn Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, one of the greats of Islamic history, known as Zayn al-Abidin. He tells his family, no, I'm not going to participate in any fitna. You guys and my family, let us stay aside. Muhammad al-Hanafiya, Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, the brother or the half-brother of Hassan and Hussein, he also says, I'm not going to participate in this fitna. Abdullah ibn Umar al-Khattab, radiallahu anhuma, this is one of the greats when it comes to the issue of fitna. He is a very wise man. He goes to his family and tells his family, whoever amongst you, from my children or my wives or my relatives, participates in the coming out of the allegiance or refusing the allegiance to Yazid ibn Muawiyah, we are no longer family. We are no longer related. None of you should revolt against Yazid ibn Muawiyah. So he stayed aside. But the majority of the people of Medina, they revolted. And they went straight for the Umayyads that were based in Medina. And they besieged the house of the Umayyads, Marwan ibn al-Hakam, and the entire family of Bani Umayyah. And this news reached Yazid ibn Muawiyah when he's in Syria. And he got very angry. And he said to the Muslims who are with him, who will go take care of the people of Medina? The people of Medina are revolting against me. Who will go take care of them? He says, Amr ibn Sa'id, go deal with this revolution. Amr ibn Sa'id, he says, although I'm the former governor of Medina, I'm not going to deal with the people of Medina. Then Yazid thinks of a short while, then he chooses a man called Muslim ibn Uqba al-Murri. He tells Muslim ibn Uqba al-Murri, I'll give you 10,000 knights or horsemen, go to Medina and deal with all these people who are revolting against me. Some of the Sahaba were present in the gathering. They said to Yazid ibn Muawiyah, oh Yazid, this is your family. These are your relatives. Have mercy on them. Says, I shall deal with them as is required. Nu'man ibn Bashir, he says to him, oh Yazid, Abdullah ibn Ja'far says to him, oh Yazid, what will you do if they come back to your obedience, if they obey you after they have revolted? He says, if they obey me, I shall forgive them. But I give them only 3 days. So he tells Muslim ibn Uqba al-Murri, says, go to Medina, give them 3 days. Do not fight them. Do not do anything to them. If within those 3 days they have not surrendered and accepted me as the Khalifa, fight them. And after you're victorious, I allow you 3 days. I give you 3 days in Medina. Do as you please. Kill as you please. Take as you please. Do as you please. Istabah al-Medina. Medina is halal for you. Do as you please. 3 days, do as you please. So this mujrim, Muslim ibn Uqba, that the ulama call him Musrif. They don't call him Muslim, they call him Musrif ibn Uqba al-Murri. He sets out with his army from Syria. He goes to Medina. He goes to a place called Harrah Sharqiyah. Medina has a place called Harrah Sharqiyah. So he keeps his army over there, 10,000 of his army. And he sends a letter to the people of Medina. I give you 3 days to surrender, or it's war between us and you. 3 days to surrender, or it's war between us and you. This is a fitna from the fitna of the days of judgment, as mentioned by Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that بين يديه ساعة فتنا كقطع الليل المظلمة. He says, I give you 3 days. 3 days passed. He sends another letter. He says, I do not want to fight you. I do not want to harm you. You are from the Quraysh. You are from the family of Yazid. And Yazid has commanded me to be good to you. Surrender and I shall be good to you. And if you do not surrender, then it's war. The people of Medina, they said, we shall fight with you. So the people of Medina, they chose fighting. Yes, they were on the wrong. Yes, they made a mistake. But the reaction and what happened thereafter was even worse and was even more unfortunate. And this is fitna that we are talking from the fitna of the days of judgment. So the people of Medina, they start fighting with Muslim ibn Uqba al-Murri. And they fight a great battle. And Muslim ibn Uqba al-Murri, he defeats the people of Medina. Then he tells his army, you have 3 days, do as you please. No one will ask you anything. No one will hold you to account. And this mujrimun, عليه من الله ما يستحقون, دخلوا المدينة. They entered the city of Medina and they started killing anyone from the Muslims they could find, and taking their property and their wealth with force. There are some narrations that are fabricated, are not true. They say that they even raped women. But this is not the ways of the Muslims. Muslims never do this. So they killed and they took property. Imam Malik, he says, 700 of the Huffaz of Quran lost their life in this event of Al-Harrah. 700. In those days, people, it wasn't easy to memorize the Quran as now. Finding of Hafiz of Quran was something very rare. 700 lost their lives. And a person who's a Qari those days is a person who teaches the people the knowledge of tajweed, qira'at, tafsir, all over his knowledge of Quran. So 700 lost their lives. Imam al-Zuhri rahimahullah says over 800 from the Ansar and the Muhajirin and the greats of the people of Medina lost their lives in Harrah, in the battle of Harrah. And 10,000 of other Muslims that we do not know. So tens of thousands of Muslims lost their lives in the city of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in the year 63 of the Hijrah in this fitna that is known as Harrah. Some of the Sahaba who were in Medina at that time, they tried escaping and they escaped. Jarir Abdullah al-Bajali escaped, radiallahu anhu. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, he tries to escape and he tries looking for a cave. Then he's seeing someone follow him. He's seeing one of the Syrians follow him. So he removes his sword. He wants to scare that man. But that man also removes his sword. He wants to kill Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. So Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, when he sees that this man is insisted on killing him, he returns his sword and says, Inni uridu an tabu'a bi ithmi wa ithmika fatakuna min ashabi nar. I want to be like the son of Adam. Adam alayhi salam had two sons. And one son sacrificed his life to be killed by his other brother. So he wanted to be the better of the sons of Adam alayhi salam. Because it's the time of fitna, it is not proper for him to fight with his fellow Muslim. So he returned his sword. The Syrian is shocked. He says, Man anta, who are you? He says, Ana Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. I am Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. He says, you are companion of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, Na'am. So he returns his sword and leaves Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and goes to look for other people to kill. Imam Sa'id ibn Musayyib, rahimahullah, this is the greatest person from the Tabi'een completely. The best of the Sahaba, as you're aware, is Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. That is the tartib. When it comes to the Tabi'een, the best when it comes to worship is a man called Uwais al-Qarani, rahimahullah wa radiyallahu anhu. And the best from the Tabi'een when it comes to knowledge is this man Sa'id ibn Musayyib. He says rahimahullah, ثارت الفتنة الأولى فلم يبقى أحد مما شهد بدرا. Says the first fitna came, the killing of Uthman, as mentioned by Imam Baghawi, it came and none of the Sahaba who were present in the battle of Badr survived it. وثارت الفتنة الثانية فلم يبقى أحد مما شهد حديبية. And the second fitna came and none of the Sahaba who were present in Hudaybiyah, that was in the year, Hudaybiyah was which year? The year 6 of the Hijri calendar, none remained. So this is fitna of Harrah al-Sharqiyah, and this is one of the greatest fitna that happened in the Muslims, where the city of Medina, the city of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was besieged, was attacked, and the people of Medina were massacred. In the next lectures, in Khanifillah, we shall look at the fitna of the statement of saying the Quran is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a great fitna in Islamic history that we need to touch, as mentioned by the author that I'm following with regards to this lecture series. And we'll also look at the fitna of a sect known as the Khawarij. This is a sect of Muslims. If you see their prayer, you'll say, MashaAllah, these are the best people when it comes to Salah. When if you look at their fasting, you will say, MashaAllah, no one fasts like these people. If you see them reciting the Quran, they read most of the Quran. Despite this, the Prophet ﷺ, he says, يَمْرُقُونَ مِنَ الدِّينِ كَمَا يَمْرُقُ السَّهْمُ مِنَ الرَّمِيَّةِ. They shall leave the faith. These are not Muslims. These are enemies of Islam. So we shall look also at the fitna of this extremist sect that are known as the Khawarij, as mentioned by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.